Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Rewind That. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Alright guys, today we are going to be going over Bel-Air Season 1, Episode number 7. It's called Payback So Beep. Anyway, in this episode, Will and Lisa are sneaking around to hide their relationship from Carlton and from the dads. So we got Fred Wilkes on one side telling Lisa to stay away from Will, and Uncle Phil on the other side telling Will to be careful with Lisa and be sure not to tell her any personal information. All right. He tells Will that it's better to create a little distance so he doesn't have to wind up lying to her because the closer they get to one another, they're going to feel the need to open up to each other. All right. And we did see that happen later on in the episode. They started talking and everything, trying to tell secrets, but Will held it down. You know, he didn't say too much. I feel bad that he had to lie to her. But at this point, right now, her father's a snake. I don't see Lisa telling on Will or spilling no information purposely or maliciously to hurt Will or anything. But I could see her doing it by mistake and maybe even saying it because she thinks she's protecting Will some way, somehow, right? Anyway, guys, so like I said, Lisa and Will are sneaking around, okay? But when it comes to Carlton, Lisa tells Will that they need to tell him because he deserves better than that, all right? And Will also agrees, okay? And in this episode, we also see that Carlton is still struggling and it's affecting his game, okay? So he's not doing well at lacrosse practice. And remember, Carlton is the star athlete of this team, so it's unlike him to play like crap. For this reason, the coach tells him that he should go and practice with the scrimmage team and figure it out. Now, Connor, who is supposed to be Carlton's friend, is not helping things, and not only does he tell Carlton that he's been sucking all week long, he also makes a sly comment to some other white teammates and says, looks like lacrosse is still one sport they can't take from us, right? And Carlton hears this, and you can see that he's annoyed, but he doesn't say anything because he's saving his energy. So after the break is over, the guys get back on the field and Carlton waits for Connor to get the ball. And that's when he runs over and knocks Connor on his freaking behind like it was some kind of football play, okay? Carlton was like, you little B. And when Connor fell, his wrist was hurt pretty bad, okay? So he won't be playing if they make it to the playoffs, okay? That's for daggone sure. Next, Will checks on Carlton because he heard what happened at practice. Carlton tells him that the whole team thinks he broke Connor's wrist on purpose and they threw his stuff in the shower as some type of retaliation. And I was like, okay, well, it's probably because you walked away while everybody else stayed to see about Connor. Okay, you kind of made it pretty obvious. Like that was the dead giveaway. So anyway, Will says, you can keep it a stack with me. Did you do it on purpose? And Carlton was like, he deserved it. And Will says, I'm proud of you. So Carlton's main concern is that Connor will turn the whole school against him, right? Will tells Carlton that he knows how that feels, and that's when Carlton apologized to Will for how he treated him when he first got to Bel-Air. So Will tells Carlton that it's okay. Then he tells him that there's a way that Carlton can turn things around, and the plan is to throw a party. Next, Hillary is dealing with an issue of her own because Kylo has posted that sexy cooking video without her permission. But unfortunately, her being in that house already means that Kylo, he has a right to do things like this, okay? Next, Jeffrey brings some info to Phil about Reed. Phil sees that Reed will be at the same gallery that Viv just left for, but she didn't mention that Reed would be there. So Jeffrey tells Phil that he knows he can have full trust in Vivian, but it's Reed he needs to look out for because he has quite the reputation. So Phil takes the info and he goes out to the gallery to meet up with Viv, and he breaks up that whole situation Vivian and Reed had going on, okay? I was like, yes, Uncle Phil, go get your woman, okay? Because they was just a little too close for comfort, all right? And Phil knew it too because when he sat down, he was like, looks like I'm right on time to join the party. And then you got Vivian over there who got the nerves to be looking like she upset, you know. Honestly, guys, she really pissed me off in this episode, but we'll get to that soon. So back at the Banks mansion where Will is throwing Carlton's party, things aren't looking so great at first, but people continue to show up as time goes along. We also have Hillary playing chaperone and making sure they don't burn the house down. Jazz also shows up, and him and Hillary hit it off even more than the last time that they were together. And this time they kissed, okay? Hillary also tells Jazz about her situation with Kylo, basically sexually exploiting her. And when Hillary finds out Kylo's location, Jazz is down to go with her to confront Kylo. But when they get there, Kylo lets Hillary know that the numbers on her video continue to soar, and if she keeps up the whole sexy chef thing, she can make a whole lot of money. And he can introduce her to some big wigs at Victoria's Secret because they was asking about her, okay? And just like that, Hillary was sold, okay? And so was her soul. And of course, Jazz has something to say about this, all right? He tells her that you can't put a price on dignity after she told him that Victoria's Secret offered her 50K a post, okay? The funny thing about all this is that she took a stance, a strong stance, against that food company that wanted her to change her image and all. Like she put them on blast and everything, okay? And I was really proud of her for that. But now she's going to turn around and change her image anyway and say, oh, I could do things their way and then bring it back around to how I was doing it. And that's the same thing that her mom was telling her that she could have did with that other company. But anyway, I mean, look, I don't agree with her working for that other company because to me they was on some, racist stuff. They didn't cater to black folks, so she shouldn't work with them anyway. But at the same time, if you're not someone who's into the whole sex sells thing, you shouldn't work with these people either. You should still take a strong stance the way you did. So, like Jazz said, you sold your soul. Okay. Now, anyway, meanwhile, Lisa shows up to the party and she reminds Will that they need to tell Carlton about them. But Will feels like it's not a good time because Carlton is still in a funk, right? And even Will's attempt to hook Carlton up with this girl named Aisha doesn't work because Aisha gets too honest for Carlton and he couldn't handle it. Anyway, we get back to Viv and Uncle Phil, and they're now in a hotel room because Phil done let Reed know that he's on to him. He knows that he preys on female artists and makes all these promises, but Reed tells him not to believe everything he finds on Google. And guys, we already know that Google ain't got nothing on Jeffrey, okay? Anyway, Viv, she gets upset and they're now in the hotel room and she tells him that they need to have a moment of radical honesty. She tells Phil that she enjoys hanging out with Reed because he makes her feel so alive. And she says it's not the way he looks at her, but it's the way he looks at her art. But unfortunately, guys, all of that got her looking at Reed like she want to undress him, okay? Anyway, long story short, Viv basically blames Uncle Phil for her overdue break away from art. She tells him that many people have asked her when she was going to return to her art, but not him. But Phil reminds her that she made the choice to set aside the art, not him. Then she says it's because she was trying to be a mother and a wife and meet all these deadlines, and it became overwhelming. As a mother and a wife, I totally understand, but I just don't like how Vivian acts like Phil was never supportive. Now, should he have checked in with Viv after a while and said something like, babe, are you still okay with stepping away from your art? Do you want to pick it up as a little hobby for now? You know what I'm saying? Yes, I do think that he should have checked in, but at the same time, it's not fair for her to blame him that she took so long to return to art, especially after the kids are older now. I mean, what is Ashley, 12? Like, come on, stop. On top of that, Phil tells her that he tried so hard to compliment her art and be her biggest fan, but it was never enough for her because she didn't believe in herself. So at the end of the day, Vivian has some insecurities about her work, and there's no one to blame but herself. I've had insecurities, guys, for a long time, okay? And no matter what anyone else said, no matter what anybody told me, it wasn't good enough because I was busy beating myself up. So at the end of the day, you just got to believe in yourself and push past that enemy, which is the inner me, okay? The part of you that tells you lies and makes you believe you're not worth it, okay? Anyway, that's a little something that I learned from my mom, saying that the inner me is actually your enemy sometimes. Anyway, so it still didn't matter what Phil said to Viv because she still wanted him to leave, right? And that's because she already had her heart set on going back downstairs to spend more time with Reed, okay? But besides all that, guys, I feel like this is what happens when people don't communicate in their marriage. Vivian She's going to tell Phil that she knows he wanted to come down there and save her, but the real rescue needed to happen 15 years ago. And if that's the case, she should have opened her freaking mouth 15 years ago instead of letting resentment set in and grow. You know what I mean? The same way she wanted Phil to say something to her back then, to say, hold on and don't quit, I got your back. She should have opened her mouth the same way, okay? Now she out here on the verge of having an affair with Reed because he's catering to her insecurities. Anyway, guys, another thing that I forgot to mention about what's going on with Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv is that earlier she found out that he took money out from the account for the campaign, and he done messed up by saying my account, and that was not cool. Okay, not cool at all. All right, but anyway, guys, enough of them, because right now I just kind of feel like it didn't matter what Uncle Phil was trying to do. He even apologized for that whole situation about taking the money without telling her, and by saying, "Oh, it's my account." He's been trying to make things right, wanting to put things aside and postpone dates and everything for his campaign and all that, so they can have a little romantic getaway, because he feels like he's been neglecting her and things like that. But she just doesn't want to hear it right now. Nothing is going to work, all right? And for me, I just feel like she doesn't make any sense, just like I feel like she doesn't make any sense in the next episode where she's beefing with Aunt Vi. So anyway, we'll get there in my next video. Next, Connor shows up to the party because another kid invited him, hoping that they could squash the beef, but Carlton tells Connor that he has to apologize first of all about the racist comments that he's been making, and not just to him but to the Asians and the Mexicans and even the homophobic jokes that he's been making. So Connor, being the douche that he is, he says that Carlton is whack and so is the party, and he tries to take a few folks with him when he leaves. But the boys on the team were like, nah, we're good. And they stayed. So Connor leaves, and since he was so bitter and upset, he calls the cops to bust up the party. Meanwhile, Carlton is looking for Will because he wants to tell him the good news that he handled Connor. Plus, he got some props from Aisha. But Will was busy in his room with Lisa, getting it in, okay? Now, they know daggone well that they could have waited for that until after they told Carlton. Come on now. Anyway, so the cops get to the party, and Lisa figures that she can help by calling her dad, even if that means exposing her and Will prematurely, right? And that's what she does. Her phone call got the police to leave because she put her dad on the phone. Carlton, he was also able to see that her and Will were just together upstairs. She coming down with her hair all frizzy and messed up and everything, so it was no secret what the heck they was doing, okay? And it was pretty messed up to see the hurt look on Carlton's face, and you just saw that Will and Lisa felt bad as well. Anyway, that's how the episode ended, guys. I'm starting to like Carlton, and I'm glad that he's not going to remain the ops. And I'm still enjoying this series. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.